I love running shoes. They take away my blues. Gotta keep your fingers on the pulse of the running news. Hey cats, welcome back to another episode of the Running News. Story 1 today is from Nike. Nike appear to be carefully leaking images of that new Vaporfly Next% 2. And not just one colourway, but 2, 3, 4. It seems like there's loads of colourways set to drop of that highly anticipated shoe. It's got all the shoe fanciers in a frenzy. Nike never seem to want to launch darker colours though of the Vaporfly series. You just don't see one, do you? It's always pink or green or white. And when we got a darker version of the Alphafly, but that was about it. I think there was a sort of like a slate and green version of the Vaporfly Next%. That didn't seem to stick around very long. All the images that we have seen up to now have been much paler and lighter colourways, from the blue and red of this smiling version. Almost looks a little bit like the Joker, doesn't it? To the overspilling swoosh and the misaligned paint on this sort of pale white version. Almost looks like an off-white inspired shoe actually. Nike have been doing that a lot recently. Taking some hints from off-white designs and just putting them into their own versions. I hope no one gets upset by that. You can see Virgil getting really upset and saying, I'm going to go to Under Armour or something like that. That's not going to happen, is it? Guess you could go to Adidas, or that's probably about it. And then there's a white and grey version that just, I don't know, none of these really speak to me that much. They all seem a little boring to me, and to be quite frank, I'm a little sceptical that the upper change is going to make that much difference. It might be a tiny bit lighter, but the midsole and the outsole are the same. I can't see there's going to be that much difference. Hey, shoot me down in flames if you want, but I just don't really see the fuss. Then again, I'm just one man amongst many shoes. What do you think, people? Let me know down in the comments if you think it's going to make a real big difference. Do you think these changes are going to be worth the Earth credits? Even now we got loads of pairs of Vaporfly Next% sat on Nike's web store. They're just sitting there, waiting for races. I think there just aren't any other. Story 2. Without any real fanfare or advertising, Adidas finally dropped their Takumi Sen 7. I really like the 6. In fact, I need to get a few more miles in and put this one through its paces at some higher paces. Something like that. It certainly dropped here in the UK, and I think they've actually released it in the US as well. I know a lot of runners really wanted to pick up the Sen 6 when it released this time last year, but it just never materialised in the US. Probably down to stuff that's been going on in the world. It's probably all down to that GameStop stock issue. That's what it is. It does appear though to be an upper change only sort of upgrade. Slight changes to the tongue there. I think there's actually a lace loop on the tongue now, which there wasn't on the 6. And certainly some hints to the upper, very similar to that of the SL20.2 that we saw released a little while back. Actually, that was some departure, that upper, from the SL20 original. Still a bit sad about that. Sizing seems a little bit more on point with this version of the shoe by all accounts. So far, at least. I went for an 11.5 last time. I think I'll probably do that again with the Sen 7. Some people have suggested though that the shoe fits a little more true to size. We shall find out. Only time will tell. It could be another reviewer just trying to lead us down the primrose path though. Always got to be wary of that. You know, you see some reviews and someone's done like 3 miles in the shoe. It's like reading a chapter of a book and then telling everyone it's great. Or listening to the first 2 tracks on an album and proclaiming it the greatest of all time. It's still a tasty combo of light strike and boost in the Sen 7, but I think that upper change is going to lighten the load a little bit. And that's only a good thing when you're talking about a faster traditional race clog. Adidas are quoting a UK 8.5 or a US 9 clocks in at, drumroll, 170 grams, which is 6 ounces, which ain't a lot. And they're saying there's a drop of 9mm. Now, I reckon the midsole and the outsole are the same here. I don't think there's any change. And I believe the Sen 6 was a 5mm drop. So can anyone tell me what's going on here? Someone left the intern updating the website again. In the same size, the Sen 6 was 197 grams, so I'm definitely hoping for for a slightly lighter Sen 7 in my size. So it'd be good to get some clarity on the drop there. I'm not entirely sure it's right. Will you be checking out this very special shoe from Mr. Omori? I think you should. I certainly will be. It's out now. You know what to do. Story 3. I recently had my faith and hope in the world restored by Eddie Izzard. Eddie Izzard's been out running a huge number of miles for charity. I believe 830 miles in total, so that's 32 marathons in 31 days. And Eddie also performed 31 comedy gigs in the same time. I've been a fan of Eddie Izzard for a long time, and I believe that Eddie's 58 years old now. All the miles were run on a treadmill, but it's still an incredible feat, whether you've run it on road, whether you've run it on trails or on a treadmill, doesn't matter. This was all done in January as part of the Run for Hope campaign. There was even a great hashtag on Twitter, which was Make Humanity Great Again. So they set up a crowdfunder for this one, and I believe that got to about £275,000. So I believe that's about $376,000. There's lots of different charities that the money will be going to, lots of people that are disadvantaged or perhaps vulnerable people as well. I think there's a US organisation that helps out youths who are homeless, and an organisation called Fair Share that try to reduce food waste and also target areas where there's hunger, and that is a thing in the UK, regardless of what any politicians might tell you. Eddie Izzard, what a wonderful human being. I'm proud to be an Eddie too. Story 4. It seems as though more and more people are getting out there to run. Every time I head out there, there's more people pulling on the shorts and the running tops and the shoes and getting some miles in under their belts. It's good to see, regardless of what anybody might say is elite sort of runners. These people, not proper runners, whatever. If you get some miles in, you get out there in the rain, whatever, you're a runner. That's it, you're a runner. But where, might you ask, is apparently the best place to run in the UK? You might suggest that the best place to run is somewhere where you've got lots of parks, perhaps. And a recent poll conducted by Runners Need suggested that Glasgow, Liverpool, and Newcastle, in fact, had the most places to go and run. Unfortunately, by the looks of the poll, they also found that Glasgow was quite high on the air pollution stakes, along with Stevenage and Oxford, apparently. I was quite surprised at that. I think Oxford also had the highest number of runners that entered the poll as well, so maybe it skewed it a little bit. Scarborough appears to be the best place in terms of running safety, if that's ever a thing that comes to mind. I suppose it is if you're in a very urban area. Around here, the worst that can happen is a badger might attack you, or perhaps a stray dog, or just some people that don't get out the way or don't understand left and right. That can happen quite often. Runner, on your right, and then they move to the right so that you have nowhere to go apart from a bog. I did notice that some of the entries in the poll didn't seem to have all of the data complete, so I don't know whether that skewed things a little bit. But it's still interesting nonetheless. I think Workingham took top spot overall, so that could be a place to go when you can actually go to places again. Because you can't do that right now in the UK, you've just got to basically stay where you are, because that's the best thing to do. You can plot a map when we can move around and go to all these fantastic places. Maybe you can call someone that lives in one of those places and ask them what it's like to run. I'm sure they'll be able to tell you, and it'll be very interesting. You can check out this poll. I'll put a link up in the description so you can dig around in the data. That's all the running news for this week. A musical interlude back from 1998. I dug out an EP that was released on Jeepster Records back in 1998 from Belle and Sebastian. It's entitled This Is Just a Modern Rock Song EP. I can remember the first time I listened to this EP, actually, because I was doing a HND qualification at my college, and I can remember having my Walkman, my CD Walkman, and listening to it with one of my buddies, and yeah, it was great. It always reminds me of Christmas as well. I think it was released maybe at the start of December. Beautiful, quiet, chilled music. Ideal sort of stuff for the current times when you want to really calm yourself down. When you're not listening to AC/DC. I'm a big fan of Belle and Sebastian. I have pretty much all of their albums. I think maybe I'm missing one. But I love the mood on these tracks. It does always remind me of the winter time, actually, around this period. That's probably why I dug this one back out. If you haven't checked out Belle and Sebastian before though, please go and do that. The first few albums are perhaps amongst the best. Tiger Milk, that's a real good one. Thanks for sticking with me to the end today. I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you haven't done so already, make sure you do. Hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications from YouTube as to when I launch those new videos. It will help the channel out a huge amount too if you give this video a thumbs up like and share it with your running buddies. My name's Ed Budd and I'll be seeing you